Hey guys, last day in Tokyo. We were just wandering around. We were kicking it here in the Shibuya district of Tokyo, and we happened to stumble upon 84. It's a company that does localization services for different Japanese companies. So we're going to head in there and chat with them, see what they're up to. Hey, I'm here in the Shibuya district of Tokyo at the illustrious 84 headquarters. I'm just going to let you guys introduce yourself before we start talking about what you guys are up to.
Okay. My name is Mark McDonald.
My name is Hiroko Minamoto.
And I'm John Riccardi.
What exactly does localization entail? Like, what are the services that you guys offer to companies that want to have their games localized?
Well, we translate games, we edit the scripts, we do voice recording and oversee voice recording. QA, which, that's more like debugging and stuff like that. But basically the whole package, like everything from, top to bottom. Most games we end up working on, we just translate and do editing, but occasionally we like to get involved with voice recording when we can, but since we're in Japan, it's kind of difficult because most of the recording is in LA.
So you guys just go one direction, you just go Japanese games to other markets?
To English, yeah.
Okay, so you don't also take like American games and bring them over here?
No, we would like to actually.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, we would like to, but it's actually, see, the whole thing with the reason we started our company is that we wanted to improve the quality of localization, and in order to do that, we're comfortable doing that in English because we've all been we've been writing, we're working with really good editors and stuff, but going into Japanese or any other language really, we personally can't say for sure that the quality is where it should be. I mean, of course Hiroko can for Japanese, but it's like that's difficult, and so we want to get into that, but we really need to find the right people who really know their stuff before we can go there.
So yeah, we all remember the Zero Wings of the past.
Yes.
The I feel asleep.
Yes.
The truck half started to move. So like, do you guys have any? Are there any specific tricks or like standards, policies you guys have in place? Like, make sure that never happens again.
Well, I mean, we have a pretty thorough process of how we translate games. I mean, we do the initial translation, and then we have somebody edit the text, and then we have one guy whose job is solely just to actually check all the text and make sure the translations are accurate and consistent and everything. So there's a lot. It passes a lot of people's desks before it becomes finalized, including the companies that we work with. Their producers check it and everything else. So generally, those kind of problems are kind of a thing of the past.
I think something that's happened at least recently is it's no longer as bad usually as the last alerts or House of the Dead 2s, or it still happens every once in a while. What was the game that you just got recently imported specifically?
Chaos Wars.
Right.
Chaos Wars, the PS2 game. Have you
Yeah.
seen that?
No.
Okay, yeah, you should check out some of the cinemas in that. So, I mean, it still happens every once in a while, but I think localizations in general have gotten better, but the problem is also gaming is kind of moved back to the West. So when you have your BioWares and stuff like that from a Western, you have more Western writers writing for a Western audience. They also have to step it up here when stuff is translated. It's no longer if something is so ridiculous that you laugh. It's just kind of when something happens and you're kind of like, huh, that was a little weird. Like, what was that pause? Or that was a little odd. And and you still kind of forgive it, but basically, it's more a matter of getting rid of that stuff. It's really like trying to get across that this game was written, for you, for your audience as much as possible. Sometimes, there's still going to be like meat buns or something in the game, or there's still going to be stuff that's definitely okay. This game came from Japan,
right.
But more and more, the publishers and stuff realize even that stuff too. So sometimes, you're even able to go into the game to a limited degree and suggest okay, we should change, anything from we should definitely change the name of this character because this sounds, silly in English, to the graphic for this should be changed, or they're more willing to go back and do that stuff because the West is a bigger market, and also because it's a different playing field, than it was 15 years ago.
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead.
Even the localization, from 5 years back, it's changed. It's we used to be more careful about being very true to the Japanese because that's what everybody wanted. But now more producers and developers in Japan are willing to let us kind of say, okay, look, trust us. We're from the West. We know what sounds good or what's natural, and we're trying to make these games sound as if they were made for English-speaking audiences to begin with. So they're a little more willing to let us, go in and kind of do our thing, which is nice.
Right.
That's changing, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
It needs to change more, but it's on the way.
Do you guys ever see yourselves moving into kind of like an advising or consulting role on gameplay mechanics and kind of fundamental systems? Like, do you feel like you could maybe offer that as a third party on a more fundamental design level?
Definitely, and we do sometimes. I mean, we talk to developers a lot, and we give our feedback a lot. But I mean, we've definitely considered getting into that even more so. I mean, they need help from people who understand games. Sometimes, really, on a fundamental level, like just the basics of some games are like, really? Like, did you not, played games the last 5 years? It's like, I think there's a lot of we can offer a lot of help in that area. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we do it to a super limited degree now, where it might be like, this menu item kind of doesn't make sense here. Why don't you put it here? Or like this, bonus thing would be better here. Or hey, the names for these achievements should be something like more exciting. It should, or maybe it shouldn't. All the achievements shouldn't be like killed 1 enemy, killed 2 enemies, killed 3 enemies. And it's like 2 achievement points each. So we do it to a very limited degree now, but that's absolutely something, that and like and always more languages is something that I think we're looking at, sort of consulting, and also like original script writing. Like we to a very limited degree done some of that kind of thing, but I think if people want kind of an idea for what would work, or sometimes they come to us with different stages of a game. Sometimes it's from the almost like design document stage to the finished product that's been out, it's going to come out in like 2 months or something like that. So we can do anything from beginning to end. And if it's in one of those formative stages, like, we'd like to do more of that kind of thing, like really have an influence on a game, because the later you enter into the process, the more limited a role you can have. Right. And some companies are more open to others. Some are just like, here's our product, turn the widget, into the American widget, to make a horrible analogy, but some people are super open to it. Like, we just want this to be popular.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe your online game should only require 1 login and not 3.
Hey,
maybe.
now you're talking crazy talk. No, it's not. Let's keep this, let's keep this sane and rational. And now that's like a crazy dream you're talking about.
Yeah. So Hiroko, for you guys first starting out, how long have you guys been around?
3 years.
3 years. So
we just turned.
Okay,
yeah.
So just starting out, just you and John at the beginning, what was it like breaking into the industry here? I mean, I'm sure you kind of acted as a liaison to various companies. Like, was it difficult for you guys to start bringing in projects, or did you kind of hit the ground running?
Actually, well, we all been working in the game industry for over 10 years.
Okay.
Like, even I worked in the industry here for over 10 years. So we all had very good connections, and we had a lot of friends in the industry to begin with. So that wasn't that difficult, and we were very fortunate. There were several projects that were brought in by friends, and we were able to keep the relationship going, and that's why we're here. So to be honest, it wasn't that difficult to break in.
We were very, very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
'Cause we have a lot of good friends in the industry
Yeah.
who happened to be in the positions where they actually needed translation and knew what we were capable of. So.
Exactly, and even before Mark starting working with us, he brought us in a very big client too, and yes.
So do you guys have any projects you were especially proud of the work that you did on, or like any kind of interesting anecdotes from the process on those?
Well, I'm looking at our shelf over there. When we get to do the entire thing from the ground up, we really enjoy it. Sometimes, the companies our clients will just ask us, translate the game, we'll take care of the rest. And that just means give them an accurate translation. Don't make it, crazy. Don't rewrite it so much, just so they can see what it is and then fix it themselves. And that's fine, that's great, and that happens a lot. But when they just tell us do everything, like we did Lunar Nights for Kojima Productions, and they were really awesome. They let us kind of do the whole thing. I thought that turned out well. Right, we did one of the ones we're most proud of is Baten Kaito's Origins, actually, which we got a lot of great feedback from fans of that game. I know it only sold like 50,000 copies or something, but it was like Nintendo's last GameCube game or something. Yeah, all 50,000 of them.
Yeah,
no, but
we did the voice too.
Yeah, we did the voices for that and everything. We oversaw the voices, and it turned out really well.
Auditioning the voice actors.
Yeah, we did like from top to bottom, pretty much. I was amazed because Nintendo. That was only our second project with Nintendo. We had also done Mario Tennis for the GBA, you know, they trusted us with everything, and we didn't want to let them down, of course. But you know, that was also like a dream for us because it's exactly the kind of projects we wanted to work on.
What's
So we
the what's the
really liked that.
workload like in these projects? I mean, are we talking reams and reams of paper, like enormous scripts? I mean, is it lots of 18-hour days?
Most of these, a lot of these, we base the size of the Japanese RPGs by the Japanese character counts, and so that is probably meaningless to you. But like the average really large RPG is like 1 million characters or so, which is probably what, like, is it double in English or is it half? 500,000
About
words?
half.
Or
Yeah, probably.
It's a lot. It's a ton of text. Like the biggest ones have taken us about like 6 months to localize from beginning to end.
Actually,
And
the current project is taking us even longer.
that's right.
than
We're
that.
working on a game. Are we allowed to talk about that? I guess not. Huh?
Super top secret project?
We're
we can't. say
Yeah,
the
we're working on a
title,
game with
but-
Square Enix right now.
Okay,
That's
cool.
a very big game. We're really excited about, but
Yeah, that started out the
This is like-
beginning of this year.
Yeah.
And we're still working on it.
Wow.
It's October, so.
yeah, we're finishing up
Yeah.
like in the next, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 weeks. But,
Interesting.
Yeah, and that was a long one.
So when you get the kind of free reign you were talking about, where they say just kind of go buck wild, put yourself in there, you know, like kind of massage the tone of the game. How comfortable do you guys feel in using that freedom? How far do you go in kind of tweaking, altering the subject matter? How much of yourselves do you put into
We
the
try
game?
to be pretty. I mean, we try to be as responsible with it. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. I mean, we talk to the producers. We try to get to the core, like even the writers, if we can, the originals, people who worked on the game, as far in as we can, because there's always like, you know, levels of how far we can get. Sometimes we have to go through our client only, but we try to talk to developers and ask them how much they're willing to let us do, and then, you know, we work with them. We always ask. Like there was this one game we worked on. Totally random, but Wild Arms for the PSP, where they had English names already for all the characters, but they were just like nonsense. They didn't even make sense in English. And so we went back and asked we wanted to change them, and we went back and actually asked the original writer of the game, who made up the names, like, here's what we would think would be better, can we use these? And he was like, yes, that's totally fine. So, you know, of course we had fans like bitching that we changed the names, but I was like, if you only knew, you know, the original guy who made those names let us do it. So
We also
try.
did that with Lunar Nights, which was very fun.
Yeah, Lunar Nights too. We changed a bunch of stuff. I mean, we try, as long we don't want to go crazy. We're not doing like the Clinton jokes and stuff from the back in the days.
jokes or
Right.
you know, Lambada jokes or you know, anything that's going to be old in like 3 or 4 years. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we try to stay, you know, within reason, but
But I mean, I think that's like a good point. Like we're not like slipping anything by, you know what I mean? The company is like anything we do that's like a legitimate change, we mark, and there's a ton of back and forth with the companies. And I mean, that's something we tell any company we work with, like right up front, is like, maybe you just used to hand this off to somebody and then they handed you back the finished thing, but we're going to actually come in and be like, is this character's, like, we have to change something with this character, so do you think that their personality would be more like this or that? Or like, now that we see the finished thing, you know, maybe this character who's 12 years old and like a Japanese girl shouldn't be like, you know, getting married to somebody at the end of the game, or be like this lust object for half of the guys in the game. You know, maybe, you know, just that's a hypothetical example I just made up. That would never happen in a Japanese game, you know, but. Or, you know, maybe this flamboyantly gay guy, maybe we should, you know, tread a little more carefully around that. But anyway, so any of that kind of stuff that we do, it's absolutely like with reverence to the game, and most of all, like checking with the developers. Like anything that we do, we absolutely run by them. And I think that's a really good question, because a lot of times, you know, our name will be on a game, but we can bring up stuff, but ultimately, you know, it's the client's call. So a lot of times, you know, we'll feel really strongly about something, and we'll even go back and forth a few times, really trying to fight for it. Sometimes it's because something was messed up in a game like 12 years ago, and we're trying to fix it. And sometimes it's, you know, it could be the other way around. Like, well, everyone in the West knows this guy as this, so it should probably be this. But ultimately, it's not our call, and ultimately, how much influence we have or don't have on a game is the client. So if we're just doing a script and we can't be involved in voice acting or something like that, that can totally change, you know what I mean, the tone of a project. Like I could write somebody as like a smooth, hot Latino, you know, lover, and then it could come off as, you know, like a macho, whatever. It could come off anyway, or, you know, they could voice cast them as a girl playing a boy's voice or anything like that. So you just basically, we do as good as we can with the chunk that we're given, and then you know, you hand it off and just have to trust. So that's kind of one of the challenges, is like, you know, your name goes on and localization, but it's not always start to finish us. When we have the start to finish, then that's what we love the most.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, the game lives or dies by us, but you know, we feel really comfortable being given as much responsibility as they'll give us.
Last question. So basically, we have seen the attendance at TGS decline 2 years running now. Do you feel like that's indicative of like the relevance of the show diminishing, or are trade shows in general on the way out? Like, where do you think TGS is at this point, and you know, where do you think it's going to go?
Personally, I don't think so. I don't know. I think, you know, a lot of it is also to do with the state of the economy right now and everything else. Like, people aren't traveling as much, and people out here, even people who live here, it costs money for the average dude to go to TGS. So, you know, I think that's a part of it. I think. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's the same. A lot of people are drawing comparisons to E3. I don't think it's the same at all. I think it's just right now, it's just things are naturally slowing down a little bit. There's not as many games coming out of Japan. There's, like you said earlier, the influence that Japan is wielding is maybe not as strong as it used to be. But I wouldn't say it's like in any kind of danger or anything like that. I think TGS will still be around next year, probably be around the same size. So, yeah.
But you guys will be in a way bigger office by then.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that it's becoming a bigger deal in terms of, like, I don't know that like 3 or 4 years ago you probably wouldn't have seen like the Halo 3 Recon thing announced here. I think, you know, the press is getting better and better about covering international shows, and so every show now is a bigger deal. And in fact, with E3 kind of diminished a little bit, and Leipzig had become a bigger deal, and I thought based on last year it was going to be an even bigger deal. It seems like it kind of got toned down a little bit this year. Maybe part of that was PAX, but I think the timing of TGS makes it actually really good for a lot of announcements and a lot of things. And so as far as attendance, I think that kind of doesn't surprise me. I mean, the Japanese industry is in a kind of a weird place right now. I mean, the PS3 isn't doing gangbusters. The Wii is, but everybody's kind of bought their Wii, and the same thing with the DS. So, you know, yeah, I mean, gaming is in a very strange place with in terms of like the hardcore casual divide and break. But you do have, you know, still your Monster Hunters and your Professor Laytons over here that are super huge events that are bridging between the hardcores and the casuals, but it's not like it once was. I think that's safe to say in terms of the amount of people here in Japan that play, like, you know, quote unquote games. More and more people are playing games of any kind in general, but a lot of them are kind of on the new Nintendo kind of casual tip. A lot of brain trainers and that kind of thing. Right? Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I know you guys are mad busy, so I'm going to let you get back to it. I really appreciate your time.
No, not at all. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So that's it from 8-4. We're going to get out of here, go eat some curry or something. Stay tuned for more.